So welcome, and thank you very much for being with us on this really important day to install Mr. Alan Arkatov as the new Katzman Ernst Chair in Educational Entrepreneurship, Technology, and Innovation. I know that many of you just came from the panel discussion on emerging literacies in education. And I really believe I got to see all of it. I really believe it was a very fitting prelude to this ceremony and gives you a flavor of both what the kind of faculty we have at USC and in the Rossier School and the kind of exciting work that we will anticipate from Alan Arkatov. Before we begin, it's my pleasure to introduce some special guests in our audience. We have two members of the USC's Board of Trustees. I'd like them to stand and be introduced, Lorna Reed and Carol Fox, and let us acknowledge their coming. Carol is also a member of the Rossier Board of Counselors, and two of her fellow counselors are also here as well, Ira Krensky and Brent Noyes. Would you stand and be acknowledged? Where are you, Ira? There we go. Also with us is a longtime friend and donor. I believe he came in, a former board member and donor to the university and to Rossier is Don Lacey. Don here? Okay, we will miss him. We also have Lloyd Silverstein, Vice President and Executive Director for Capital Construction and Facilities Management Services. Lloyd, will you stand? He's over here. And I'm very pleased to welcome U.S. Undersecretary of Education, Ted Mitchell, if you will stand for just a moment. And Ted will be formally introduced by Provost Michael Quick. Another friend and colleague of Alan Arkatov is former Ambassador Frank Baxter. Frank, would you? And former Secretary of Commerce and U.S. Trade Representative Mickey Cantor. All right. We're back here. And I want to thank you all for being here today. The Katzman Ernst Chair was established in 2008, and its intent then, as now, is to lead the way to the kinds of innovations and partnerships that will upend the status quo for both K-12 and higher education. USC Rossier is committed to tipping over the sacred cows that get in the way of real learning and achievement for all students. Things like changing the boundaries between school, home, and community, questioning the structures of schooling and the physical environments in which schooling and learning take place, rethinking curriculum, both for K-12 students and for those who are going to teach them, and building, innovating, and improving technology for impactful teaching and learning to occur. You will hear much more about Alan Arkatov's plans for this groundbreaking work, but right now I'd like to turn the podium over to USC Interim Provost, Dr. Michael Quick. Yeah. And as he's coming, I will give a few words. Dr. Quick was appointed to his post in December by Max Nikias, our president. He serves as the Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and as Professor of Biological Sciences at USC Dornsife College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences. As USC's second-ranking academic administrator, he oversees the USC Dornsife College, the Keck School of Medicine at USC, and 16 other professional schools, in addition to the Division of Student Affairs, Libraries, Information Services, Research, Student Religious Life, and Enrollment Services. So we are really pleased that he is here today at our installation. Michael.
My goodness. Welcome, everyone. So on behalf of the university, I'd like to congratulate Professor Arkatov on his installation as the holder of the Katzman Ernst Chair, and thank two of USC's most valued partners, John Katzman and Alicia Ernst, for their extraordinary generous philanthropy. I also want to thank Dean Gallagher for her leadership. She has been amazing. She's assembled tremendous faculty, staff, and students who have played a major role in making the Rossier School one of the most highly respected and forward-thinking schools of education anywhere. When American education and pedagogy is talked about, in the media, the focus tends to be critical. It tends to hover on what is not working. But it's important to talk about what is working, the strides we make and the doors we open, particularly as digital media and education converge. Important to highlight positive outcomes and those who are bold enough to challenge the status quo. Since putting together the online MAT back in 2009, the dean and John and others have helped over 2,000 graduates become better informed, better engaged teachers. From primary school teachers in Florida to adult educators in Kansas to high school teachers at our own USC Hybrid High, just down the street, we have challenged the notion that education only happens in a classroom with a chalkboard. It can thrive wherever there's will and an opportunity and an internet connection. The MAT and our partnership with 2U led the way in shaping USC's online enterprise. Its success set the tone, and it is still unparalleled in terms of the quality, rigor, and enrollment that it serves. Yet this is just the tip of the iceberg. We continue to refine these programs and find more ways to complement pedagogy with technology. Professor Arkatov's work is at the leading edge of this realm, developing resources that adapt to a particular student's need or evolve in step with our rapidly changing world. One of the most reliable ways to ensure that USC or any university continues to recognize and recruit great faculty at the cutting edge of disciplines, like Professor Arkatov's, is through the endowment of faculty chairs. It demonstrates a commitment to the recipient's work and helps ensure our programs remain excellent long after their original founding. It publicly endorses and honors the achievements of both the faculty member who holds the chair and the chair's namesakes. And it continues a long-standing tradition of support for scholarship. The first modern endowed chairs were established in the early 16th century at Oxford and Cambridge, when Margaret of Richmond, the mother of King Henry VII, created professorships in theology. Tradition has really continued to this day. It's very little changed. In fact, I was just reading a story about Galileo, who was teaching at the University of Pisa and left teaching at Pisa to go to the University of Padua to occupy an endowed chair that they gave him there. He negotiated a reduced teaching load. And talk about a longstanding tradition of faculty chairs. That continues to this day, if I'm not mistaken. The foundation of a good university is its scholarly faculty. But the foundation of an outstanding university is faculty who work with purpose, ambition, and excitement. We have that at USC, and many of these faculty are in the Rossier School. So congratulations to Professor Arkatov and all the members of the Rossier community. And again, our heartfelt thanks to John Katzman and Alicia Ernst. Okay, that was my intro. I only have 2 hours to go now. No, it's my absolute pleasure at this point to introduce Ted Mitchell. The importance of this endowed chair and the vision behind it is made all the more clear by the company of our next speaker, U.S. Undersecretary of Education, Ted Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell oversees activities related to post-secondary education, adult education, federal student aid, and 5 White House initiatives, among other priorities. He is charged with planning and policy responsibilities to implement President Obama's goal for America to have, quote, the best educated, most competitive workforce in the world, as measured by the proportion of college graduates by the year 2020. He has been an influential leader of education right here in Los Angeles. Dr. Mitchell served as president of Occidental College, vice chancellor and dean of the School of Education at UCLA, and as president of the California State Board of Education. Please join me in welcoming Undersecretary Ted Mitchell.
Thank you, Michael. It's a real pleasure to be here, an honor, in fact, to be here, to be with you on this important day of celebration. Among the many privileges of being here is the opportunity to thank John and Alicia and recognize you for your philanthropy and for your vision in creating this chair. It's also a pleasure to celebrate, of course, Alan's installation. But I want to start by noting, as Michael did, how fitting it is that the Katzman Ernst Chair sits at USC. And I say this as somebody who used to work across the city. But USC has been, is, and I know will be, one of the most innovative and entrepreneurial universities, not only in American higher education, but worldwide. It's similarly appropriate that the chair sits in the Rosier School of Education, where under Dean Gallagher's incredible leadership, her own sense of entrepreneurship, USC's School of Education has become, as Michael mentioned, one of the 2 or 3 institutions that people talk about when they talk about ed schools that are doing the right thing, preparing teachers for the new world, helping researchers do research that impacts practices in classrooms and in policy. That kind of leadership is rare, and it's extraordinary to be here to honor that as well. In fact, one of the Rosier School faculty members, Bill Tierney, and his team successfully competed for one of our most selective grants last year, the first in the world grant, in which we gave out money to innovative, often technology-based projects aimed at increasing access for underserved students into higher education. We received 475 applications from universities across the country, and were able to pick 24. And so this project stands in very good company. The Katzman Ernst Chair represents an important way of thinking and doing, cross-cutting, impact-driven, outcome-focused, and all with a sense of real urgency. These attributes reflect the founders, and they represent the new holder of the chair, my dear friend Alan. Alan is a visionary. He believed early on, for example, that there might just be something to this internet thing. When Gopher was one of the 2 search engines. How we doing? Did I do any Gopher users in? Alan hates rules. The sacred cows that get tipped sometimes in Alan's world get run up the flagpole to see who shoots. That really abused some metaphors. But it's the kind of out-of-the-box thinking that led Alan to create onlinelearning.net when no one else was. That company pioneered, online learning and opened the door to so much of what has come ever since. What's also remarkable about Alan is not his long-term vision, but his short-term ability to generate ideas. Alan has a high IPM, ideas per minute, rate. And sometimes I get off the phone with Alan, and I just have to sit very, very quietly to try to understand what this new world was that he laid out for me. And like every great visionary, in all of those conversations, there is 1, 2, maybe 3 things that really do lay out a great path for the future. But unlike many visionaries, Alan is also a doer who finishes what he starts and makes things happen. I've seen this in working with Alan on the Board of Alliance Public Charter School Boards, where Frank Baxter serves as co-chair. I've seen this working with Alan on the California State Board of Education, where we tackled some of the thorniest policy issues for the state, and Alan was there making things happen day to day. Alan took an idea, the teaching channel, and turned it into something that teachers around the country admire and use. So Alan brings to this a variety of perspectives, but always perspectives at the front end of the challenges that we're dealing with. You'll quickly learn how Alan makes things happen, and that the how of his work is as important as what he makes happen. I think you all know Alan's and his family's musical history. Well, in the work he's about to undertake, Alan's is not a solo performance. He builds ensembles. He builds chamber groups, sometimes orchestras, and sometimes marching bands when those are called for, to bring diverse talent and perspectives to hone in on big issues and big challenges. I know that Alan intends to tackle big issues, and I know that we will all be on call for Alan as he puts together those next musical groups to tackle those challenges. It's something that we in the education community ought to look forward to, because this is the beginning of something really great. Thanks, Alan, for letting me be here.
Thank you, Michael Quick, and thank you, Ted Mitchell. I think both of you filled in some pieces about why we're here today. And I'm honored that both of you are here. Your support for Alan and for the work of the Rossier School are very much appreciated. And now I'm delighted to introduce my good friend and colleague, John Katzman, and he will fill in some more of the pieces of the puzzle. Not yet, John. I've got a few things to say about you. In 2008, when he and his wife, Alicia Ernst, made their extraordinary $1.7 million pledge to the USC Rossier School to establish this chair, John made it clear to me that he was not a fan of the typical School of Ed. In fact, we may have bonded over this feeling because I said, neither am I. John was the one who challenged me to live up to our school's mission of improving learning locally, nationally, and globally. And by doing that, by taking our Master of Arts in Teaching degree online. We partnered with his education technology company, then Tutor, now 2U, and in less than 6 years, we have gone from about 50 on-campus graduates per year in our teacher ed program to over 2,200 across the world. And they are the highest quality, amazing teachers, ready to work with all and any students that are in their classrooms. And they do this with their first-class USC Rossier education. John clearly does not know how to think small. He's a passionate educational entrepreneur. Coming out of Princeton, he founded the Princeton Review. He went on to found Tutor, now 2U, which now works with many of the leading not-for-profit universities like USC to offer high-quality online degree programs. John moved on from there to build the Noodle companies, where all learners can discover and compare educational opportunities at any stage of learning. USC Rossier is now working with Noodle on a wonderful program to pair high-quality tutors with students across the world who really need them. John has also become an active member of the USC School's Board of Counselors and a continuing advocate and generous supporter for the work that we are doing. And I will tell you, he continues to challenge me in every conversation we have. Please welcome John Katzman.
So we're here to celebrate two things we deeply admire. As many of you know, Alan is a true entrepreneur. And as Ted said, he founded onlinelearning.net. And what he didn't mention is that he introduced me to Karen 7 years ago with the crazy idea that Alicia and I might fund a chair in entrepreneurship and education. And his stubborn insistence is why we're here. That stubbornness would have been pointless, of course, if the introduction were to any other university or any other dean. From minute one, Karen and Melora Sant have proven themselves to be innovative, brave, insightful, blunt, honest, and optimistic. And those are all useful characteristics for the growth of entrepreneurship. Max and the entire USC administration have been strategic and supportive as we've developed a terrific relationship and some terrific programs. No other elite school, as Ted said, could have or has the foresight and intestinal fortitude to build a high-quality, large-scale online program. No other school would launch a network of hybrid charter schools, which we're proud was Hybrid High was founded by the first chair, Dave Dwyer. And so it's a great pleasure as we come full circle and bring Alan in to take over what he started, and that's to push to make disruptive impact a central part of the mindset of faculty and students at Rossier, and help them translate their brilliant ideas into worldwide change. Alan's focus on connecting Rossier better to the LA startup community, using connecting tools and cloud of the entertainment industry to what you've learned about education and neuroscience are really intriguing paths and incredibly promising. So it is a great pleasure and honor to support and work with Karen, with the team here at Rossier, and with Alan, especially in the cold, cold February back home. We're so glad to be here and so glad to be Trojans. Thank you.
Thank you, John. You can see why I think that John and I and my faculty have had really a great relationship for the last 7 years. I also want to thank John and Alicia for your generosity and for your continued support for what we do. Now, I have to say, as far as chair installations go, this has really set new records. You can tell by the size and the quality of the people here that Alan Arkatov knows everybody in LA and then beyond. I did meet Alan almost as soon as I relocated here to Los Angeles from Kansas in 2000. And it is almost impossible to enter the education arena in Los Angeles and not know Alan Arkatov. He invited me to an event for Delane Easton, and it was apparent immediately that Alan was someone I needed to know, I wanted to know if I were going to be successful as Dean of Education here at USC. He cares passionately and understands the education space, but he also has a deep knowledge of public policy and the corporate world. We became friends and colleagues very quickly, and because we both feel strongly that where education and policy intersect is where we can achieve real reform. Education, and certainly schools of education, must not exist in a vacuum if we are to create real change in what happens in the lives of children and youth. Alan Arkatov brings the commitment, the experience, the spirit of change, and the knowledge of technologies and their potential to this appointment. You can read his resume in your program and see for yourselves that he has given much of his career to building and improving a diversity of educational tools across media platforms. I know that a key goal for him is to forge relationships and collaborations across disciplines, both on our USC campus and in the wider community, because he knows that only with partners who also believe in true reform can we realize USC Rossier's vision to create a world where every student, no matter his or her circumstances, can learn and succeed. Please welcome Alan Arkatov.
I'm getting older, so I have to have my eyeglasses ready. It's always a sad commentary. Thank you, Kimosabe. Good afternoon. I want to thank all of you for being here today, and especially those that helped make this day possible. To the distinguished panelists who led the discussion that preceded this event, Mary Helen, Bob, Amy, Lucian, and Ted. Who they are and what they are doing is exactly why I wanted to spotlight them. They are setting a clear path for what the status quo in the future must embrace. Can we give them a big hand of applause? A special shout out to Kanae, to Rochelle, to Barbara, to Lisa, to the search committee, to Bill and Melora, along with Michael, Blair, Doug, and the USC faculty and administrators inside and outside of Rossier. I hope to validate the confidence and the support you have given me. To Ira and John Kabar, who provided me invaluable counsel along with the many life mentors who are either here today or with me in spirit. To my sister, brother-in-law, nephew, to my mother-in-law and my niece, to my mother, Salome, and father, Jim, 91 and 94 years young, respectively. Go ahead, wave to the crowd. They have been my primary teachers and life compass. To my wife and sons who challenge me every day in every way possible, questioning my priorities, intelligence, scruples, and sadly, my diminishing athletic abilities. Mary, Jacob, and Michael, thank you for providing me with the pride, the love, the nachas that sustains me as a husband, a father, and as a human being. My boys don't like the attention. They're over there. It's a very strange family. My wife is here. Father's here. Where's my mother? There's my mother back there. My kids are there. It really takes a village. Ay. Thank you, Provost Quick, for your ongoing leadership, whether it be your scholarly work in neuroscience, pushing crucial innovations to the undergraduate curriculum, or creative ways for the university to do cross-cutting work. Thank you, Provost. Undersecretary Mitchell, the man with the cool socks down here in the front row. From the time Chancellor Young asked you to make sure that I didn't screw up UC's first real attempt at online education, oh so many years ago, you've been there for me. At a time when so many of the best and brightest are no longer willing to make the hard sacrifices necessary for public service, your extraordinary leadership is steering the future of education at the most tumultuous and important inflection point in higher education's history. Whether it's teacher training, competency-based education, or making sure that access, affordability, and accountability are more than just buzzwords, but things that actually radically transform higher education for the better, I'm proud to call you Mr. Secretary, and even more proud to call you my friend. Thank you. To Dean Gallagher and her trailblazing leadership at Rossier, whether by bringing Math for America to LA, launching Hybrid High, helping create the Deans for Impact, or being responsible for the finest online education degree program in the world, the Gallagher imprint has put Rossier front and center and where it matters most. The two things I like most about the Dean is that she's never forgotten where she comes from, and that she knows exactly what she wants to do. As the first in her family to go to college, she's kept that as a steady light in everything that she does. And having a dramatic and lasting impact on the quality of urban education is her life's work in a way that touches as many teachers and as many students as possible. While that's easy enough said, change is hard, especially in education. But Karen knows that you either lead or you fall behind. Thank you, Dean. I have to take a drink before I talk about John and Alicia, so that's John and Alicia, thank you for being well. Katzman and Ernst. Education has always been a part of Alicia's DNA. Her father was a superintendent, her mother was a teacher, and she helped lead a series of innovations at the Princeton Review while directing its research. As for John, he's currently trying to pull off an unprecedented hat trick, creating three very, very different education companies that fundamentally change education. With the Princeton Review, John had the audacity to challenge the College Board and the college admission system and force everyone to rethink fundamental beliefs and realities regarding who should go to college, where they should go, and what they were capable of. With 2U, John had the vision and the nerve to seek out ways to alter the higher education playing field by actually improving the quality and reach of the best post-secondary institutions. I'm honored to have played a meaningful role in helping to kickstart 2U. The complexities and the struggles sometimes seem insurmountable, and I'm proud of how the company has been able to evolve and grow, becoming the preeminent online higher education company in the world. With Noodle, John has had the temerity to aim for the holy grail of education, individualized learning, by leveraging the power of the internet to fundamentally democratize and improve education choice, and by effectively matching students with the right resources, irrespective of demographics or subject matter. The university has strict guidelines on separating donors from their chair selection process, and for that, I'm actually very grateful. Because, quite frankly, John didn't only think I wouldn't be selected, he told me in very explicit terms and details why I'd fail. That was all I ever needed to decide to throw my hat in the ring. For those of you that like Back to the Future, remember the Marty McFly chicken? That line, that was John to me. John and I have a rather odd relationship. He challenges me, I challenge him. He insults me, I insult him back. We constantly have verbal lightning rounds to see who can come up with a better solution to a vexing problem, whether it be traffic, halftime NFL shows, government, foreign policy, or religion. But as we constantly push each other, invariably we always come back to one essential constant: how to tangibly and quantifiably improve education. So that being said, what am I going to do with this great opportunity? Across town, high above the stage at Royce Hall, are etched the words that I used to stare at before falling asleep at concerts. Education is the learning to use the tools that the race has found indispensable. For me, those tools need to include not just entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation, but equal parts common sense and chutzpah, which I've been told by a number of people today I have plenty of. Here's what I know in terms of my toolbox. I'm one person, I've been here for just a few months, and I won't be able to accomplish anything important by myself. Plans don't implement themselves, people do. Sooner rather than later, we'll need to create and fund a center that can quickly and effectively use events, programs, and products to transform education. And it will need to collaborate far beyond the walls of Rossier. We'll need to be visible and vocal about two interconnected needs that this dean has made very, very important: to create higher standards for teachers, starting with the schools of ed across the country and around the world, and making sure that teachers are better treated and better paid. We'll need to help lead the conversation about making sure that the fundamentals of a school day are not based on the incredibly outdated concepts of an agrarian society from more than over 150 years ago. A cornerstone of our efforts will be the ability to decisively communicate. Remember the line in Cool Hand Luke? Anybody? What we have here is a failure to communicate. Sadly, this is the story for education. How is it possible when we know that there are specific ways to improve learning outcomes and so few folks actually know about them? That's a communications problem. If there are things that work in education and the proper efficacy and research validates it, then we have to communicate it and communicate it right. And as much as some academics won't like it, a key to affecting real outcomes for education will only come via our ability to change the narrative via public policy, politics, the courts, and creating a conversation with as many people as possible. It requires events that are newsworthy and sustainable. Here's a little known secret. Without any entity mandating or blessing it, education has quietly moved from a supply-side economy to a demand-side economy. What does that mean? Just think about it. Until recently, you drew a 30-mile radius around where you lived or worked, and that's where 95% of students got their higher education. On the K-12 side, that number was closer to 99%. The message was clear. This is your school, this is your teacher, this is your textbook. Not happy with any of the above? Too bad. Fast forward. Now what happens when a college student who has few choices based on location, price, and quality is engaged by a great professor or a university 3,000 miles away, offering the finest courses and programs online with hands-on fieldwork programs wherever they live, and can quantify that its learning and career outcomes are superior. While location is still a huge driver, it will only be a driver if the local programs are as good as the best programs offered elsewhere. And guess what's going to happen when all the parents, teachers, and students who have already downloaded hundreds of millions of lessons by Khan Academy find out that they are able to learn better and actually enjoy it at the same time, for free. And by the way, there are thousands of SalCons and software programs out there, brilliant in their respective areas of knowledge, that have yet to be discovered. Much of the bureaucracies of higher ed and K-12 don't know what to do with the shifting playing fields. They are dinosaurs, the remnants of generations of arrogant command and control education systems. The quiet revolution is happening, and students, parents, and teachers will not tolerate bad schools, bad teachers, and bad content. So what are some of the things that I'm looking at, I'm working on with my colleagues as I take a drink? A global education innovation tournament that can harness and bring to reality the extraordinary free market of ideas for education. An education hall of fame housed at Rossier and online that would spotlight the best people and practices from around the world. And while I know that ideas are the easy part and it's all about execution, we've got to be able to tap into the reservoir of opportunities and plant as many education smart seeds as possible. On the technology front, it's estimated that this year society will be connected by 25 billion computerized devices. 25 billion. Nothing will be more important than making sure that the current generation of students is able to effectively harness and use those technologies. So how does the chair and Rossier do that? In this era of big data, I fear that we are focused too much on data and not enough on learning. EdTech often forgets about the human factor. And by creating a local and national partnership with EdSurge, organization that's here today, a vital, important organization that uniquely shows how to amplify the voice of teachers, we'll be able to leverage the tools and best practices that great teachers must have to support their students. On the entrepreneurship front, some of the most important opportunities in education aren't about creating new things, but making sure that things simply work better. And one need not look further than USC's backyard to know that it can make a profound difference. The 700,000 students in the nation's second largest district, LAUSD. I look out at all the outstanding former LAUSD school board presidents here today. Marlene Cantor, Mark Slavkin, Roberta Weintraub. Where are you? Wave. Wave to the crowd. There you are. And I'm reminded that LAUSD, yes, is too big. The governance structure is fatally flawed, and it's bigger than what any one individual can fix. But I also know that there are still some basic connect-the-dot things that we can do to help. In a few months, you'll hopefully hear about a strategic mapping initiative that Rossier has initiated, which will take the priorities of LAUSD and produce an overlay that allows entities like USC to take their best assets, whether it be social services, researchers, professional development, or star faculty, and deploy them in a way that benefits everyone. There's nothing magical about what I'm suggesting. It's not like we're unlocking the secrets of dark matter. But this is stuff that can happen. It can happen now and can have real impact. I believe it's time for a Manhattan Project for education in the US, and that USC can be at the epicenter of this opportunity. 10 years ago, Annenberg and Lynn Miller, under the leadership of Dean Jeff Cowan, had a dream team of 65 USC professors collaborating across all specialties at the university as part of a massive NSF Science of Learning proposal that focused on the integration of virtual environments, games, neuroscience, and much more to totally rethink what learning is and how to properly evaluate it. Do you remember that one, Jeff? Yes. The process included reimagining the interplay between the research and teaching at all levels, how to move from science to rapid cycle research, development, and mass dissemination. President Nikias, the engineering dean at the time, was one of its greatest champions. Its only major flaw was that the reviewers found it to be a bit too edgy. I think it's time to update that vision and produce a bold plan that government, philanthropies, and corporations can get behind that not only changes the face of education as we know it, but neuro, behavioral sciences, and so much more. Engagement and the use of entertainment literacies will be the key to such an initiative. And that's why nothing gets me more excited than the opportunity for Rossier and USC to forever change education locally and globally via the ability to engage students through vehicles that are entertaining. This is where entrepreneurship meets innovation and technology. This is where the rubber meets the road. And this is the future. Hence, the reason for today's panel discussion on the brain and entertainment literacies. We are at a unique inflection point in human history. Today's students are more technologically literate than the majority of their teachers, and at the same time, they are more entertainment literate than they are reading literate. Think about that. It's no longer open for debate. It is what it is. Intentionally and unintentionally, we have created an education caste system based on socioeconomic gating factors that have nothing to do with a student's innate ability to succeed. Pick up any urban newspaper, and you'll likely see a story about school reform wars, Common Core wars, standardized test wars, and teacher wars. Enough. Entire generations of students and their families are the casualties, and yet no one seems to be able to get past these two-sided battles. The time is right for a third way, an environment and an ecosystem where entertainment literacies can truly drive educational engagement and learning outcomes. How is it possible that in the entertainment capital of the world, that the entertainment industry has been MIA in terms of having real impact on education? Isn't it ironic that arguably our greatest import as a country is higher ed students from around the world, even though they're not categorized that way? That is our greatest import. And our greatest export to the world is entertainment, especially since we know that Hollywood knows how to do two fundamental things better than anyone else in the world. They know how to tell stories. Storytelling has been a crucial building block to learning since the beginning of man. And they know how to communicate and market those stories. The arts, games, sports provide us with extraordinary physiological, socio-emotional, and mental engagement opportunities. When an important film like Selma comes out, and there's a large and serious dialogue about race and making sure that history is accurately reflected, that's a teaching moment. When a movie like The Interview comes out, as much as a lot of folks in this room didn't like it, irrespective of what you feel about it, it's a very and significant teachable moment, especially for students who don't even realize that there was a Korean War, that there are two Koreas on the map, or why the international stakes are so high. There need not be any required mandates in terms of what the entertainment titans should do to improve education, but there should be some realistic goals. If cities can set aside 1% of the new building's overall cost for artwork, we should be able to set aside 1% for educational engagement, tied to the overall budgets for films, games, music, and sports. The Software Association, MPAA, the Grammys, and yes, the NCAA, which its original mission was about education, and other industry umbrella groups all have the capacity to affect deep change, and it's in their best interest to do so. Whether it's the work of the Annenberg School and the Lear Center, the Thornton School, the School of Cinematic Arts, and the Game and Innovation Lab, the sum of USC's parts regarding engagement is extraordinary and unmatched by any other university in the world. This is the university that has spawned immersive 3D technologies from ICT like Oculus Rift, trailblazing engagement from entities as diverse as the Brain and Creativity Institute, the Shoah Foundation, and the Unruh Schwarzenegger Institutes. And here's the piece de résistance. As the research by Carol Dweck and others has made clear, we know that intelligence itself can be altered by having a different mindset. The very act of creating a different playing field where students are engaged and equal and not held back by the psychology of inferiority, based on what they know, who they are, or where they come from, allows them to dramatically improve their ability to learn and achieve. Imagine the implications of what will happen when we can effectively communicate to the masses. In closing, I want to thank everyone again for this tremendous opportunity. I'm going to need a lot of help, whether it's collaborating with the right people or raising the necessary dollars. And although I certainly can't promise that I'll succeed in everything I set out to accomplish, I can promise you that if I do fail, it will be glorious. The dean is twitching in the front row. If you'll, not good. I just got a demerit on that one. I can tell you that I'm going to give this effort a mighty whack, and that together we will have impact. It's easy to be cynical about all this stuff, but as I increasingly find myself in those random, scary moments, you know, we all have them. We don't talk about them. The ones where you have a blur of emotions and questions as you think about who you are, what is life, and what is your place in the cosmic scheme of things. I take great comfort in being surrounded by family and friends, and knowing that in my work with colleagues, I'm helping education evolve and having an impact on as many people as possible in tangible, meaningful ways. This is core to who I am. We can innovate and improve education via traditional and non-traditional pathways, and we can do it with passion and purpose. I hope that it will be said, long after the celebration and spoken words of this day have faded away, that this school, this university, this great school, this great university did not lose sight of its fundamental mission and its rightful place in history, to transform and improve how we think, learn, and teach. This is the rightful place for a great school of ed and a great research university, especially when it is housed in the entertainment capital of the world. The great French writer Anatole France once said, "The whole art of teaching is only the art of awakening the natural curiosity of young minds." And while it has been said that genes shape our paths, it is experiences and those that guide us that will determine who we are. The time is right, the time is now. Be prepared to engage or be engaged, for the age of engagement is here. Thank you. There's more.
There's more. That was wonderful, Alan. And there's more. So Alan is staying here. I have two proclamations that I'm going to read that have been made in your honor. And one of them, we don't have it physically yet, but this morning, Senator Barbara Boxer read this proclamation on the floor of the U.S. Senate. Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize Alan Arkatov as he celebrates his recent appointment as the Katzman Ernst Chair in Educational Entrepreneurship, Technology, and Innovation at the University of Southern California's Rossier School of Education. Alan has long been an innovative leader in the field of education. His remarkable career has included roles as the founder and chairman of Online Learning Net, CEO of the Teaching Channel, president of Changing.edu, and a creator and executive vice president of 2U, the technology company that pioneered USC Rossier's online Master of Arts in Teaching program. He has also served as a member of the California State Board of Education, the California Post-Secondary Education Commission, the Los Angeles Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families, and the Los Angeles Information Technology Agency. A man of many talents, Alan is also a skilled communications and public relations expert and has served as a strategist for academic institutions, nonprofits, governments, corporations, and political campaigns. In announcing Alan's appointment, USC Rossier Dean Karen Symms Gallagher said, "With his broad and unique experience in education, communications, public policy, and the arts, he is someone who can make important projects, programs, and initiatives a reality at Rossier and USC. I've known Alan for many years and have had the opportunity to see his immense talents and his passion for education. I congratulate him on his recent appointment at USC's Rossier School of Education and wish him the very best as he writes this next exciting chapter in his extraordinary career." Barbara Boxer. There's more. And also, I was handed this morning from the mayor. The City of Los Angeles says, "Congratulations to Alan Arkatov. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I am proud to join Karen Symms Gallagher, Emery Stoops, and Joyce King Stoops Dean, and the USC Rossier School of Education upon the installation of Mr. Alan Arkatov as the Katzman Ernst Chair in Educational Entrepreneurship, Technology, and Innovation, February 24th, 2015. Eric Garcetti, Mayor." But wait, there is still more.
Like one of those infomercials.
Right, it is. So we do something here at Rossier that's a little different from other schools on who are installing chairs. We actually give people chairs. It's an honest-to-goodness chair that you can put in your office, you can have it at home, and it's recognition of the importance of this endowment and the responsibility it places with you to help us meet the goals and vision of the Rossier School of Education and the University of Southern California and John Katzman and Alicia Ernst. So if I could get John and Alicia and Ted and Michael up here, we're going to take a picture with you and the chair. No, you get to sit in the chair. Okay, so if we come up here, we'll do a picture. Okay. Yeah, you have to. Let's see, there he is. Okay, how do you like? I think we better turn it this way. Yeah, turn it at you. You have to all look in the. Okay. All right. Okay. We're all going to be looking.
Right into the light.
Right into the lights. Okay. Can you get us?
Should I look?
Is there a photographer over there?
Yes.
We can't see.
The one with the thoughts. The thinker. Not so much.
All right, thank you, thank you. And now I'd like all of you to celebrate with us at a reception, and please come up and congratulate Alan and his family. I want to thank you all for being here, and fight on. Over to you.
How'd I do?